Good morning. Let's stand together now and sing a familiar song. Oh, how I love Jesus. Lift your voice and sing it with me now. There is a name I love to hear. I love to sing the word. It sounds like music in my ear. The sweetest name on earth. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. How about the second verse? Y'all trying to rob me of that. All right, here goes. It tells of one whose love can fill my deepest woe, who in each sorrow bears a heart that none can bear below. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me.
Tell me what to do next. Can I not use this one? All right. All right. Well, it's been a great week, and it's off to a great start here today for us as well. No, it's good to be in the house of the Lord, isn't it? Good to be here, yellow mic and all. But good to see you. Pray for our pastor. He is traveling and coming back in town, I believe, later today. So pray for him while he is away. And then I appreciate so many of you have said this morning sympathies and so forth for my family. I appreciate that so very much. My uncle, for the first time in a long time, his mind is clear. He's walking well. He's got all of his faculties. All of his limbs are functioning good. My wife just said this. He was a big man. He was a big man. I told Kathy many times, I said, he's got to be that big to get that big heart of his inside. He was such a good-hearted man. I told Kathy, we were talking this week, I said, baby, if we are behind him in the marriage supper of the Lamb, we might not get fed. He was a big rascal. Now, I am not kidding you whatsoever, but we are going to miss him greatly. He loved me, Kathy, those boys of ours. He was just that kind of guy, and we will miss him dearly, but we know right where he is. He is absent from this body, present with the Lord, and heaven just got a little sweeter for all of our family. He loved Brother Klein's music more than anything. Wouldn't be surprised we won't hear some of that Tuesday at his funeral. He absolutely well, is there at that cross. I just came on, didn't I? All right. Listen, I'm preaching the mic on this morning, folks. So anyway, he is there. He would have known that his brother was crucified. He would have known that his brother had not only been crucified, but that he died via that crucifixion. He would have talked to his mother after this event took place. Then when Jesus rises, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, when Jesus rises in 1 Corinthians 15 says, after that, he was seen above 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. After that, get this, he was seen of James, then of all the apostles. James sees the risen Christ. James sees that his brother is alive, but he knew that his brother had died. His mother was an eyewitness to what transpired some 3 days earlier. Now, mom is upset. My brother has died. My brother is alive. My brother appears to me. And it is at that point that James comes to this realization. Everything my brother has said is true. He really is the Son of God. It's not just hocus pocus. It's not just urban legend. He really is who he always taught, who he said that he was. My brother is the Son of God. And so it's with that backdrop that James writes his letter to us. James writes this letter about 15 years after the resurrection of Christ. Now, if you've been studying with us on Sunday night, you know that's one of the earliest books that we have in the New Testament. And so James is one of the first writers. And he writes from this vantage point. He really is the Son of God. Everything he has said is true. This salvation is real. And so instead of us talking about it, now here's where he's going. Instead of us talking about it, let's live it. Let's get beyond the pages of talking about it and get to the place, get to the point that it makes a difference in and it impacts our very lives. If you believe it, show it. Because it's real. And I no longer doubt. I know it. And I don't just think it. I know it for a fact. And with that being the case, I want you to get to James for just a moment. I'll get you back in John here in a little bit. But in James chapter 2, in verse 14, James writes, "What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works? Can faith save him?" Now, what James is saying, he's not in any way going against Paul, for by grace are you saved through faith. They actually complement each other. They're not at odds with each other. James is saying, if you have faith, allow it to produce in your life. Allow your faith to be productive. Now keep in mind what he's writing from. It's real. He really is the Son of God. This whole Christianity thing is true. Don't just talk about it. Don't just have a head faith or a head knowledge, but have a heart faith, then allow your life to be different because of it. It's worth living for, James is going to share with us. He believes it to the point that it's worth dying for. Why? Because it's real. It's true. This faith, this Jesus is all real. In James chapter 1, he's telling us that a non-productive faith may not be a saving faith at all. Look at him. But be you doers of the word and not hearers only. Why is he saying be a doer of the word? For this reason. It's real. It's true. Do it. Don't just know it. Don't just say it, but actually do it. Why? It's real. This stuff matters. Why do I know it matters? I saw my brother. He was alive. He rose. He is God. This thing is real. You're deceiving your own self, he says. For if any man be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man. I love this illustration James gives us. He said, if you know it and don't do it, this is what it would be synonymous as. If you know it. All of these people that he's writing to are going through difficult times. It tells you in verse 1 that they are the 12 tribes that are scattered. They're scattered from persecution. And he says, listen, Jesus is real. And not living for him is like looking in a mirror. The King James says, behold, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. Other versions are going to tell you it's a mirror. And he looks into the mirror. The mirror is the Word of God. And that's real. Now, keep in mind, writing from that perspective, he said, you look at this real revelation. Real revelation. He is the Son of God. And you look into the mirror and you see something is amiss. And you look into the mirror and beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. You say, wait, we don't talk like that. What are you trying to tell us? This is what he's saying. He said, you look into that mirror, and that mirror is this. And you got up this morning and you did that very thing. And if you got up this morning, and since it was morning, let me chat for a moment. You saw egg on your face. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about fake egg. I'm talking about literally had egg on your face. Who would look at that, see that, say, wow, I've got egg on my face. Are you ready to go, honey? Or are you going to get the egg off your face? No, I just wanted to see if I had any. I did. I do. Now it's there. Are you ready? Let's go. We're going to be late. The logical thing would be when you see the egg on your face to do what? To take care of it. Because you looked in the mirror and the mirror showed you the egg. James is saying that's the same thing when I'm saying be a doer of the word, not a hearer only, deceiving your own selves. Because my brother really is the Son of God. This really is true. So when you look in here and see egg, do something about it. Don't just leave it there. Why? Because this is true. If it says there's egg, then there's egg. It's true. But if this says do something, do it. If this says not to do something, don't do it. It would be the same as seeing egg and leaving it. And so that's what James is trying to get them to. There's a great deception that comes from saying and then not doing. There's a great deception that says, I hear this word, therefore I am growing as a Christian. No, that's not true. You hear it, and then you what? Do it, then you're growing as a Christian. Hearing only doesn't do the job. Hearing only is not the thing. James, if you'll kind of let me stay with his life for just a moment. James had been hearing it all of his life, but he wasn't doing it. James knew it. He had heard it time and time again. But once he realized it's true, James says, this is true, let's do it. Now, with that background, I want to take about the next 20 minutes, because we live in a day when things don't always go our way, don't we? I'll be honest with you, and I'm not speaking specifically about my uncle right now. I've had several things in the last few months that haven't exactly gone my way. If I was mapping out the way my life should be, it's not the way I would have mapped it out. I would venture to say that most of you could say the same thing for yourself. I would venture to say I'm not alone in that. So how do we do the word? Okay? How do we do the word? Not just hear it, not just, amen, brother, you're right, but how do we do the word when things are not going our way? Because that's the true test, James says. Just to hear it, to see the egg, but not remove it, is not growing as a believer. As we walk through things individually, as we walk through things collectively, as whether it be a nation or a church or a family, whatever the case may be, as you walk through those things, when things are not going your way, if you apply the word, now we can grow from it. It's when we ignore the word and we walk through those things that they then become nothing but deterrent to us. So all of that background, go to John chapter 11. I told you I'd get you back there. John chapter 11. You say, preacher, I've had things that have not been going my way. I've had scenarios that I don't understand. What in the world is God up to? What's he up to in the Christian culture today? What's he up to in your own life? What's he up to today? John chapter 11, beginning in verse 1, says, now a certain man was sick named Lazarus. Now, things are not going his way. Would you agree? Come on, Sunday school. Would you agree? Right. Not only not his way, stay with it. He is of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. Are things going Mary and Martha's way? No. They've got a sick brother. Bethany is 2 miles from Jerusalem. It's 2 miles from Jerusalem, and Jesus would go there. And at times he would go to Bethany to be able to get away from Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, he had religious leaders that wanted to kill him. He had the people there. He would be mobbed anytime he came into Jerusalem. Heal somebody. We want to see the show again. Feed us again. Whatever may be. And so Jesus would go to Bethany, where he had these dear friends. I'll show you how close they were in just a moment. And it's 2 miles from Jerusalem. But he is not there. Jesus is actually some 15 miles away right now on the other side of the Jordan River. He's had to leave Jerusalem. It's not safe. I'll show you. He had to leave. He had to get out of there. And so he is over on that other side. Let's go to verse 3. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, whom thou lovest is sick. Now let's set the stage. He's 15 miles away. They send word over there. And they specifically say, the one that you love is sick. So now let me ask you a question. Things are not going your way in life sometimes. Does that mean God does not love you? Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with Lazarus' faith, nothing to do with Mary's, nothing to do with Martha's. Matter of fact, I'll show you in a moment they had great faith. It had nothing to do with that. Lazarus is sick, and the point is made. Lord, this is the one you love. When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but it is for the glory of God. Now, you would think what we're going to focus on is the raising of Lazarus, because that's a pretty neat thing no matter what, right? I doubt if any of you this week went around raising people. So, I mean, that's a pretty neat thing. But that's really not where I want to focus on. What I want to focus on is the delay that's getting ready to come up. Jesus said, this sickness is not going to end in death. But here's the reason for it. Preacher, things are not going my way. Things are not going my way. How I respond when things are not going my way. James says, do it. Don't just hear it. Do it. He said, but here's the reason that he is sick. This sickness is for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. You said, but preacher, in my life, it's just one bad thing after another after another. I don't think God's being glorified in that. God's not glorified by the event. God is glorified by my response to the event. It's not the event. Listen, if he wanted to, right now, from 15 miles away, when he heard this on the other side of the Jordan River, all he had to do was say, Lazarus, you're better. And Lazarus would have immediately been healed. You say, preacher, how are you sure about that? Well, because he healed the nobleman's son already in John, and he was in Capernaum, and Jesus was in Cana, and they were 20 miles apart. The miracle was never about Mary and Martha being happy. Ouch. Because we thought, didn't we, that since we were believers, were they believers, by the way, Mary and Martha? Did they have great faith? You better believe it. I'll show you in a moment. Did Jesus love them? Were they happy right now? Not at all. The miracle, please, please, please get this. The miracle was never to make Mary and Martha happy. If that was the case, he would have just healed Lazarus from 15 miles away like he did the nobleman's son, and everybody would have been happy. No. As a matter of fact, it had nothing to do with their happiness. Now that just seems cold and callous for me to say that on a Sunday morning, and you're sitting there wishing the microphone would go out again. If we just couldn't hear him, it might be better. I think I can prove it to you. Stay with me. Verse 5. Now Jesus loved, man, I should have said this earlier. He loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. And when he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, now what would you expect him to do? He's heard that the one that he loves is sick. What would you expect him to do? get up and heal him. Or just speak the word and heal him. He doesn't have to go over there. He hears it. It says he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Let me paraphrase that for you. He did nothing. He moved not at all. He didn't say anything about it that we have recorded. He didn't get up. He didn't go. And you're sitting there saying, how calloused? Why did he not? Does he not know that I'm going through a hard time right now? Does he not know that life is difficult right now? That maybe you've got a family illness. Maybe you've lost a job. Maybe you are living in the middle of some stressful situation. Does he not know? Well, let me ask you another question as we keep going. Did he love Mary, Martha, and Lazarus? Has that love changed at all during that time? And so, but he doesn't go. Then after that, saith he to his disciples, let us go unto Judea again. Now, Judea is where Bethany was. Okay? It's where it's located in that, we'll call it province. It's located in that. Now, here's the question that I have, and I just got to be honest with you. If you were going to go, why didn't you get up and go 2 days ago? I mean, God, if you tell me you love me, you tell me you care for me, you tell me you'll always be there, well, come on and let's do this now. If you were going to go anyway, it would have made me happy if you'd have come 2 days before. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late. Now what that means there is just recently sought to stone thee. And goest thou thither again? In other words, Jesus, what are you thinking? The last time we were there, they tried to kill you. Now, if they tried to kill Jesus, and you're a disciple of Jesus, what does that mean for you? Oh, y'all sharp. Can't get anything by you all. Their lives were in danger. But now, wait a minute. We have sat here for 2 days. We were happy. You never see the disciples over those 2 days saying, Master, you want to go? Master, you think we ought to? No. I wasn't there, but here's how it went. Jesus hears that Lazarus is sick. He sits there for 2 more days. And those guys are in the background saying, don't mention it again. We are safe 15 miles away. Dummy up. Say nothing. If you say something, he's going to want to go over there. Master, you sure? You want to go now? Verse 9. Well, let's jump to verse 11. He says, guys, he's asleep. Well, if he's asleep, he'll get better. These things said he, and after that he said to them, our friend Lazarus sleepeth. But I go that I may wake him out of sleep. Now, if you are sick and you go to the doctor says to you, go home and do what? Get some rest. I'm 57 years old. I call my mother. Mom, how you doing? It'd be 8:30 in the morning. Mom, how you doing? I don't know, son, but you need to get some rest. What? I hadn't been up long, Mom. We'll talk for a little while before she hangs up. Now you get some rest. The disciples are thinking, well, if he's getting rest, he's going to be okay. We can stay 15 miles away. We're safe over here. If he's just sleeping. Then his disciples said, Lord, if he sleeps, here it is, he shall do well. Howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest and sleep. And then verse 14 and 15 just blow you away. Then Jesus unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And I don't think I gave you verse 15, did I, Brandis? Here's what he says in verse 15. Lazarus is dead, verse 14, and I am, what's the word if you're reading? Glad. Wow. Well, that's compassion, isn't it? Lazarus is dead. You know that friend, the one I love, he's dead. And I'm glad. That for your sakes I was not there. To the intent that you may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. I'm glad that he died. I've waited for that. I delayed for that. Because I've got a much bigger picture here, guys, than Mary and Martha's happiness. The much larger picture is for you to believe. The much larger picture is that I can take the bad thing, I can take what seems bad, and strengthen your faith as a result of it. Stay with me. He said, I'm glad. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. Now, I'm not sure what Thomas really said. You say, preacher, it's right there in the Bible. I get that, and I know that. But here's what I mean. Did Thomas say it this way? Hey, guys, listen. We go over there, they're going to try to kill him. But to get to him, they're going to have to go through me. I'm going. Let's go with him. To get to him, guys, they're going to have to go through us. Is that what he said? Or did he say it like this? Well, guys, he's determined to go over and get himself killed. I guess we might as well go die too. I don't know, but I think it might have been the second one because he doubts later. But they head over there. And Jews had come. And many, verse 19, of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Now, why did many of them come? Why did many of them come? What if he was sick? Would many of them have come? No. Many of them came because he died. They had come to mourn with Mary and Martha. They had probably come because they heard also that Jesus, who had been 15 miles away, was coming. Word would have traveled quickly about when he moved in that day. And people came and were there because he died. The goal was not Mary and Martha to be happy. The goal was people to believe, for God to be glorified. Look at verse 21. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. Did she have faith? Come on, talk to me. Did she have faith? Did Jesus love her? Did a bad thing happen? And it did not mean she did not have faith. It did not mean that Jesus did not love her, but the bad thing still happened. But the bad thing happened. And I've got to kind of wrap things up. The bad thing happened so that people would believe. Listen. Bad things will happen in your life. We are going through a bunch of them as individuals, as a nation, even right now. How you respond is what people will see of Jesus Christ, even in the middle of bad situations. The ultimate goal was never, I want Mary and Martha to be so happy. The ultimate goal was so that many would believe. You say, yeah, but Mary and Martha, I mean, they had to go through all of this. I've thought about this all week long. And again, not in relation to my uncle, but just thinking about this passage. If he heals Lazarus, Mary and Martha already believed. What would have been accomplished by that miracle? They already believed. She said, if you'd have been here, my brother would have lived. Just a little bit later, if we were to continue to read, Mary comes out, Lord, if you had been here, our brother would not have died. They believed already. If he heals Lazarus, they're happy, but no one else believes. He allows Lazarus to die. You say, that seems so harsh. He allows Lazarus to die so that others might believe. Got to get the big picture. I think I'm right about these ingredients. If I'm wrong, forgive me. I don't like flour. If you sat down, I'm talking about baking flour, dry, powdery flour. If you set down a plate of flour in front of me, said, Brother Mark, made breakfast for you, here's just some flour. I don't think I would enjoy that. Brother Mark, I made breakfast for you, here's you a plate of salt. I don't think I'd enjoy that. Brother Mark, I made breakfast for you, here's a plate of Crisco. I call it fake lard. Here's you a plate of Crisco. I don't really want a plate of Crisco. I don't want a plate of salt, and I don't want a plate of flour. But I tell you what I do enjoy. I love biscuits. And my mama can make some good ones. Not the kind you hit on the edge of the counter. I got an amen on that. First one I've had all morning, but I got one on biscuits. I don't like flour, salt, or fake lard. But I do like biscuits. And sometimes in your life, Mary, Martha, Lazarus, you may get some flour, you may get some salt, and you may get some Crisco. But it's in the hands of the Master. You'll be patient. He can make some biscuits in your life. He said, Mary, Martha, Lazarus is dead. Disciples, he's dead, and I'm actually glad. That's your flour for the day, disciples. Let's go back over there. That's your Crisco for the day, disciples. But I'm going to make a biscuit when I get over there, and many people are going to believe. Let him use your life to do that very thing. We'll see you at 11.